The presenting sponsor of Upmarket is Aereo, the best place to grow and manage your real estate media business online at aereo.com. That's ARYEO.com. Coming to you from the makeshift Upmarket studio in the beautiful Ojai Valley of Southern California, this is Upmarket, a podcast about the business of real estate photography and media. My name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO, and I'm one of those co-founders of Upmarket Media. Another co-founder, man, Chelsea, what is this guy? He goes to Australia. Now he's out on Catalina Island,
with his
paradise,
kids.
with just one kid, chaperoning.
Horrible.
What a piece of garbage this man is. So he's
How
out there.
dare he?
He's out there for 3 days,
Mark.
leaving all of us alone without him here again. But thank goodness, producer Chelsea Froelich is here.
I'm
Chelsea,
here.
of course,
Hi.
yes. Hello. But we're down a shooter with Mark, and so we thought, we're recording this during the week. What else should we do? Is like clear out the availability of even more of our shooters, and so we actually brought on, a couple more of our staff. We're going to have kind of a fun episode here. Joining us again is one of our photographer and videographer, Nikki Basher.
Hi.
Oh, hello, Nikki. If you've been following Upmarket Media on social media, you know Nikki. She's been really out there. And you know what? We brought another fine fellow who works with us, who has definitely been mentioned on this podcast once or twice. Marco Guerrero. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Oh man. See, Marco, he's shot this podcast before. He's edited this podcast before. He's listened to this podcast before. We've talked shit about him on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
He's a pro.
Yeah. Well, and so we have a few topics we want to cover today, but we had kind of yesterday, it was a kind of a hectic and a little bit stressful for a little while situation happened, right?
Oh, we're
Chelsea?
diving right in.
Well, what
Just
else are we going
like
to do?
that.
Yeah, we got it. Let's
Start out strong.
I believe in that. You got to address the elephant in the room. It's not an elephant in the room, but this is the big thing that kind of happened yesterday, and we thought it would be fun to go over on the over on the podcast.
Let's drop the bomb on Nikki right now.
Yeah, well,
she
it's no
does not
bomb.
know
It's
yet.
not a bomb.
Oh
but,
no.
Chelsea, I'm going to set the scene.
Okay.
You and I were down at the big brokerage in Oxnard yesterday recording our other podcast, Real VC,
Yes.
about Ventura County real estate. And we were doing 2 back-to-back episodes. And Chelsea gets a phone call, and it was kind of right in between. It was in between the 2 episodes.
Well, we were recording the first time, so I had to ignore the call because
Right.
I couldn't pick it up.
Of course. And then you got it. You picked it up in between
Yes.
the 2 episodes because the guy called again. And to summarize, and maybe you can summarize, he was very angry. Just
He was
some
very
random guy.
angry, and he said, "I need to talk to the owner of your company." I said, "Okay, what is this
Never a good
regarding?"
start.
And he said, "Well, one of your dream team guys over there was peeping on my daughter the other day while he was over shooting." And so, of course, I'm just like, we're in the middle of recording. I look over at Reed and I'm like, okay, this is something we're going to have to address later. So just very calmly asked him if we could call him back, if I could have Reed call him back, the owner.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so I think I'm just looking in our open phone log here. So yeah, that was a 1 minute and 47 second phone call.
yes.
And then you followed up with a text. And
yeah, I
you
just
said-
wanted to get the date of when he was
Well,
referring to.
yeah, of course, because the guy was just talking crazy.
Yeah,
and
he
you
just said
couldn't-
the
yeah.
other day.
And you said, "We are very sorry to hear of the mishap, sir. Can you please let me know what the date was that this happened? Reed will give you a call this afternoon to discuss the matter further."
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And we had surmised the dream team that it was the guilty party, of course, was Marco.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
so the
it-
dream team came from him going on our website, and because it says the dream team with our team photo, he said the gentleman in the Or which I thought was funny. He did say gentleman. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
he said the gentleman in the top right corner.
Yeah.
Marco,
And
he
so-
also called you Caucasian, which I thought was.
Oh, he did.
I
Oh,
look Caucasian. Well, he's right.
I was like, oh, okay.
yeah. And it's Marco, does not look Caucasian.
No, I do not.
Yeah. And for better or for worse. But the funny thing is, on our website, we do list our employees. We have headshots of everyone and we have their names. But Marco, and we'll get into this later, had quit. I don't even know. It was a year ago. It was last summer. And we had taken him off, but we kept him in the group shot because that was a group shot we had. So he was not on the website. And then since he came back to work for us, it's been a while now, but Mark has been like in Australia and vacationing, has not updated the website to have Marco's bio and stuff back. So Marco's name was not on our website. So this
Thank
guy
goodness.
doesn't know his name.
Yeah.
And so Chelsea sent that text. And then this is what we got back. I'm going to read the whole thing. It's very long. But it's worth it. And actually, let's fill in what happened at this point, because that's all we knew. And then you got this long text, and you're like,
while we were recording. So I'm
recording.
just reading it as we're recording. I'm like,
Yeah. And so then afterwards, you said, yeah, you're going to have to call this guy. Do you want to read the text? And I said, no, let me talk to Marco first,
Right.
because I want to get Marco's side. And I kind of wish I had actually read the text first, because then I wouldn't have, because I was a little bit like stressed and worried about what was happening.
Well,
and
and
if I
that's
had if I had read the text, then I wouldn't have been as stressed.
right. And I had sent Marco a message, which probably freaked him out
Oh,
too,
yeah, it
because
freaked me
I was
out.
like,
Yeah.
did something
Yeah.
happen? I didn't get too into detail, but I was like, did something happen with a neighbor from the shoot you were at?
Yeah.
Like, can you tell me your side of the story? Because we're getting some crazy texts from this random guy. And he tried to call me, but we were recording.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry if I gave you a heart attack there.
A little bit. Heart was racing,
Yeah, well,
Not a big deal.
and so so then I called Marco immediately, and it's like, okay, Marco, what's going on? And he said, well, what did you tell me? You said, oh, there was I was flying a drone, and this woman came out and asked if I was flying over her house, and I said, yeah, well, I'm done, and she said, okay,
Yeah, that was all that happened.
yeah.
Which
Yeah.
we saw that later on.
Well, that
but-
was it, and I had to be like, okay, Marco, I trust you. I'm going to believe anything you say, but if something happened, just tell me. And he's like, no, man, I'm a stand-up guy, and just to be clear, obviously, we have good people working for, or that we think are good people. You never, I guess, really know, but like none of this tracks with what we know about Marco. So, so anyway, so he's like, okay, nothing happened. And then I read the texts. So here we go. It happened Monday, and I can't really read the punctuation on these texts is like the sentences are chopped in like half. So I'm just going to try to
drop
read
the
it.
writer
Just
hat
read it
for a
as
moment.
is.
Yeah. It happened Monday morning, and it wasn't a mishap. He was videoing a house on Blank Street in Santa Barbara. The area he was flying in my backyard. You were unable to see the house he was supposedly supposed to video, spying on my daughter, casing my property. I think he thought there was weed in my backyard. I have a greenhouse that I'm not using, it full of weeds. Tuesday afternoon, I believe he physically walked into my yard to find out there wasn't anything there. I have proof of elevation location, but not the physical trespass of him walking on my property. But I believe he had the intent and motivation after what he thought he saw. This unacceptable behavior, and me and my daughter have not felt safe since that day. So I would appreciate some kind of retribution, or at least having him fired would make me feel better. New text. I have videos of his drones of him flying the drone in my yard. New text. My daughter went out to the front yard and confronted him. She asked if he was done, and it was in our yard. New text. She asked, why were you in my yard? He tried covering up his tracks to say he needed a better angle of the house he was videoing. She knew he was lying because the trees blocked the view of the house it was supposed to video. New text. Last one. One of my favorite parts. I need his name and number, how long he worked there, what city he lives in, so I can do a background check.
Oh no.
There's a lot going on there. And so then I was like, oh, okay, this is just ridiculous.
Okay. Okay, he's one of these guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's the thing, right? So I did feel like I had to call this guy because he knows what our company is. And we don't know how he figured out who we were, but, and I don't, cause it could be the realtor sign went up and he contacted the realtor or whatever. And, cause you, in a way, obviously this guy's going to come off crazy to the realtor too, if they cause a ruckus, but you got to be ahead of that. And I wanted to make sure that, and obviously you want to try to diffuse the situation. And clearly in that, it just was like, no, there's no way that any of this is true. And even just from the basic fact, Marco was on Tuesday afternoon, was working for us in Ventura all day. And I actually even saw him at a shoot that day. So it was physically impossible for Marco to go and check out the backyard for weed.
Yeah.
You
Doesn't make
clearly
sense.
look very shady.
Yeah. I definitely want to see the weed back there. Yeah.
Well,
Crazy.
and so I waited because I was running around. I had to pick up my kid, and so I waited till later in the afternoon, and I called the guy, and he was just basically saying, "Oh, did you run a background check on this guy?" And I'm like, "Well, we run a background check on everyone who works for us, and he has a sterling background." And he said, "Oh, I highly doubt that after what he's done."
Oh my
And I'm like,
gosh.
and he was just so convinced because the tree was 30 feet high and the drone was 15 feet up or something. There's no way he could have seen the house. And then he's like, and my daughter took videos of the drone. And I said, well, send me the videos and then I'll be able to tell where the camera was facing and if he was actually looking at your sunbathing daughter, because the daughter was sunbathing in the backyard. And then I said, well, we can look at the timestamp and then we can match the footage that our employee was shooting at that time. And you can see that he was not photographing your daughter. And so he sends me the videos, and of course it's a drone like 50 feet up in the air, just like, I mean, you can't even see what the camera's face. I mean, it's just like, so it's just so beyond ridiculous. And none of these videos proved anything. And then he's like, this is my house. And and you're like, okay, dude, I didn't say that because I never talked to him again, actually, after he sent me the videos and stuff, but of all houses that, if Marco had that in him this is not the house that he's going to try to break into. And I'm like, and you just like this, people just don't understand what we do. And, they can get these, whatever conspiracy theories in their head or, of like, it doesn't pass the logic test. None of it. Right. We would never do that. Marco would risk his job to
People just see a drone and they just immediately think
out.
that drone is here to spy on me. That's just immediately where they go.
Well, yeah. Have you either of you had, let's talk about, so the capper of the story is I was like, I'm going to have to send this guy like an image or something of what we were photographing at that time. And so Marco went through the footage. He pulled at the exact moment. And it was just a photo and you could clearly, it was totally fine. And I just sent a screenshot of that. And I said, hey, look, he did nothing wrong. Everything was legal. I'm sorry that our legal drone operations, frightened you and your family. I hope that you can rest easy now that you know nothing was going on. Thank you.
Your text was perfect. I read it out loud to my husband.
Yeah, I brought a tear to my eye.
Just shuts it down all the time.
Well, but you have to. Well, I can read the text because you need to diffuse these situations.
Yeah.
And so I said I can confidently say that our employee did nothing wrong. He followed FAA regulations, our company guidelines, and all laws. He was not spying on your daughter. He never even saw her until she approached him on the street, and was not casing your home. And he absolutely, in no way, shape, or form, entered your property on Tuesday of this week at any time. Our employee is a sterling individual who we entrust to represent our business and who we send unaccompanied into multi-million-dollar homes in exclusive neighborhoods every day. There has never been even a whiff of any sort of incident of the type you're describing. I apologize that our normal and legal drone operations cause stress and discomfort for you and your family. I hope that you can rest easy knowing that there was nothing untoward happening that day. I wish you the best. Reed. And then he texted back and he said, thanks. Sorry. I am just trying to protect my daughter after she brings these concerns to me. I was like, okay, great.
There's no way he's buying
Done. Well, but there, so we can put that to bed, and so
the whole mention of the growing weed obviously that's why he was paranoid.
He's
Had
not,
nothing
he's
really
not growing
to do.
weed.
Because
Yeah.
first of all, he said his daughter, I was expecting like a teenager.
Yeah.
She
Me
was
too.
a grown
Me too.
woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Well, and I kind of posted in one of the private Facebook groups with other real estate photographers last night. I kind of posted a redacted version of that, and everyone's response was like, just texting it back. He's like, "Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, I fired him."
Yeah, right. That is what my husband said too. Like, oh yeah, great to say. Okay, yeah, we fired him.
Yeah, exactly.
You're welcome.
Exactly. Yeah, you're welcome. Rest easy. I did that background check. Oh boy.
I do have to mention too, for that shoot, I could only fly up to 50 feet.
Right.
And I had to deal with the
'Cause you were-
freeway,
it was near the
power
airport,
lines,
yeah.
trees, like,
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I looked at the raw footage and I was like, oh my God, this is like one of those super complicated
Yeah.
ones. It's hemmed in on power lines on all sides and the freeway literally like
Right next door.
30 feet away.
Yeah.
And then trees all over the place. I mean, it was really difficult
Yeah.
to even get an angle. And
yeah.
when you can't get up high, when you can only go 50 feet, and
you have to go over neighbors' houses.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, which is legal anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, but well, have either of you ever had, I mean, we've all, if you've flown a drone, you've been approached by people. Have you had like angry people approach or?
I have not had any angry people, no. But just last night, actually, that Twilight shoot I did last night, I used the drone for a couple of shots, and a neighbor, I couldn't hardly see her because there was a bunch of trees, but I heard her voice, and she was like, "Are you taking photos of the house?" And I'm like, yes, I am. She's like, do you have permission to be here? And I'm like, yes, I do.
Not that I need it, but
Right.
but-
And she was talking about the owner. I'm like, I haven't met the owner. We
Right.
typically just deal with the agents. And she was like, well, who is the agent? Like she's trying to like,
yeah, of course.
Of course, I didn't know
Nosy
the
people.
agent's name offhand. So I was like, hang on, let me check. I'm
Yeah.
like, she's so suspicious of me right now.
Well, yeah, and we don't really have to give that information out. You say, oh, you can talk to the homeowner if there's a problem
Yeah.
because it's like it's none of their business. And
Yeah.
actually, we shouldn't be saying the name of the agent or anything
Yeah.
because I always just say, I've just been hired to shoot the home.
yeah.
So if you have questions, you can contact the owner.
Yeah.
And they say, was it going for sale? And I say, well, oftentimes when I'm here, it
That's
comes up
usually
for
what
sale,
that
but
means.
I don't know.
Yeah. And
So-
then
I-
I remember looking at aerial photos, and I'm always seeing people.
Oh, of course.
They're looking at the drone. They're
Yeah.
in their backyard. They're
Yeah.
looking up at the drone. And I'm like, oh, they probably
See,
think
that's
we're
so-
here
Yeah.
spying on them.
That's so funny to me that people are like, "Oh, is it going for sale?" And you're like, "Well, if you don't know your neighbor well enough to know that information, then
Yeah.
I don't need to give you
Well,
any more."
yeah, but sometimes it is the secret. Oh man, I don't want
Yeah.
to tell you, so I don't know. But Marco, have you had any other big
No,
incidents?
not for me. Monday was the very first time someone approached me kind of in a mean way because she came up to me and she's like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
And it like caught me off guard. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Oh, I'm shooting some real estate photos for this property here." And she's like, "Well, you were flying over my backyard." And then I was like, "Oh, sorry about that, but I'm already done. I'm bringing the drone down." And she just walked away. She didn't say, "Oh, you were spying on me" or anything. Because then I would have been like, "Oh, no, I wasn't." Like, I could show you the photos and videos I just shot. Like,
Right.
I wasn't spying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost wish she would have, so you could have showed
Yeah,
her
I
right
mean,
then
sure.
and there. But
Exactly. And also
yeah.
too, the thing that I find funny is I'm literally standing in front of the house. I'm not hiding somewhere 2
You're not
streets
acting
down.
suspiciously.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, that's what, and people don't understand that it's like, well, you can't, and I'm like, he's like, he was hovering 15 feet over the yard, spying on my daughter, and I was like, well, that's not spying.
No.
Like the drone is like right there, you can
Right.
see it, and what people don't realize is you could fly it from a mile away. Why would you stand out in front of someone's house to case
Right.
it? And so but they don't know that in the moment, and it's hard to explain that in the moment. And 99% of the time when someone comes up to you when you're flying the drone, they just are, oh, I love drones. It's so cool.
Yeah.
That's what you get the vast
Right.
majority of the
Yeah,
time.
that's what I mostly get. People come up to me and they're like, "Oh, like you get paid to fly drones? That's
Yeah.
so cool." And I'm like, yeah,
Usually
like-
people are interested in
yeah.
what
So
we're
I
doing.
get that for the most part.
Yeah, for sure. But it does. That's the thing. And obviously, this is just one crazy person, but there's more crazy people out there, and that is something from an employer perspective that you do worry about. Like, and I know how it feels to be out there shooting drone, and I hate shooting drones after 5 p.m. when more people are home because that just means more people are gonna. And then people have a glass of wine or two, and then they're, you know, especially in the summertime when you're doing it really late, right? Or you made the marijuana sign, Nikki.
I mean, around here, it's not unusual.
Getting paranoid.
But yeah, you know, and so you like, you just need to have a strategy for how you deal with those. And you really need to have a strategy for how you tell your employees to deal with that. And so,
Yeah. So whenever I fly the drone, I'm always trying to be respectful of, you know, the area, and I'm always trying to get in and get out with the drone.
yeah.
Because I know it can be annoying hearing a drone buzzing over your property and all that. So, but yeah, on Monday, I just had all these factors, like I said before. And
Well, and it doesn't matter. You were flying legally.
Yeah, no,
it's
I
like,
was.
yeah, you know, we obviously try to be respectful, but we got to get the shots. Well, no, and that's for me, you know, if I'm shooting, that's easily my least favorite part. I mean, it's kind of fun to fly the drone, I guess, but you know, I don't. Marco,
it's actually my favorite part.
It's your favorite part?
I love flying the drone.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
I like it too.
Yeah. It just makes me uncomfortable because I just feel like I've been accosted. You know, I have nothing really bad, but enough times where I'm like, I just don't want to talk about it. And, you know.
Gotcha.
So, all right, well, that's good. Well, I'm glad it's your favorite part.
Yeah. That's cool.
Well, and I guess, you know, as we're thinking through the prism of like employee safety being out there in the field, I mean, have either of you ever felt unsafe at a shoot?
There was one shoot in, I think it was Santa Barbara, where it was like a burned down house. Like there was some like fire damage or something, and I had to do Matterport for the whole property. And I would say that shoot, I felt kind of unsafe because like the whole house looked a little unstable.
Oh, you felt like safe because of physical danger.
Oh, physical danger. Yeah. That was the only shoot that I can remember at the top of my head where I was just like, I don't feel too safe here. Just these walls are all burned.
You had one time where it was a tenant occupied home and they did not get notice that there was going to be a shoot.
Oh yeah. I remember that
with our favorite realtor.
Yeah. So, they said like, oh, like we can just sneak in real quick and take some photos. And I think we let you know, like, I don't think that's a good idea.
No,
because we could get hurt or something.
Yeah. And there was like guns all over the walls and stuff. If I remember correctly.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Well, and that goes to, you know, the thing that we have, that we tell you from your onboarding meeting and we reiterate over and over and over and over again is like, you are empowered to walk away at any time.
Yeah, I remember you saying that to us. Like, if at any point you feel unsafe, just walk away. And let us know.
Yeah, and you leave your equipment. You don't have to take your equipment. It's like it doesn't matter. I mean, because your safety is the number one thing, and that's I mean we hammer it home, and I think the odds of that ever needing to happen are very 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 slim.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you never want. This job and getting the shots is not more important than your safety. Right. And that goes for, you know, even an agent being like, hey, can you just get out on the roof there and get that one angle? And I know, I remember Dustin like got out once or twice, you know, climbed up a tree.
One of our favorites. Can you just climb over the fence? I was like, no, I don't think so.
I actually did that on a shoot. I had to get on the rooftop. The realtor was like, can you get a rooftop shot? It was like a business, and I'm like, yeah, sure.
You can always say no.
Yeah, you can always say no. Well, it's one thing if there's like stairs to go up on the roof, but if you got to go on a ladder,
get up a ladder.
Yeah, no. You can always just say, oh no, for liability, it doesn't cover that.
Yeah,
you know,
for next time.
Yeah. Well, because they will ask you to do crazy stuff, but Nikki and we might have covered this in the last podcast, but you haven't had a moment being female out there where you felt it in a, you know, not good situation.
No, nothing like that. There's just been like scenarios where maybe I felt uncomfortable, but not fearing for my safety kind of thing. But honestly, probably the scariest thing was I did a twilight in Ojai, and I was sitting inside kind of waiting for the right time. And I looked out the window and there's this giant coyote literally standing in the front yard, like the land, like literally where I would need to go to shoot. And he like just dead looked at me through the window.
He's like,
and I was
come
like,
out here.
I was like, why is he staring at me? I was like terrified to go out there.
Right. Well, now you got to go do the shoot.
Now I got to go do the shoot. And I probably looked like an idiot because I had my keys on my hip and I was shaking them. I came outside and I was like, because I'm like trying to scare this thing away. But it was gone by the time I went out there. But the whole rest of the shoot, I was just like So
Yeah.
I was just
Well, and that happens to me. Like I'm not a dog person, and so and they love me because I'm not into them, and so they always want to. Yeah, and so and even the big dogs, they'll want to jump on me, and so and ideally, obviously, the dogs are not home because the homeowner's not home. But that's.
I did a pretty rough house, and they had like, no pun intended, they had like 3 big Rottweilers
Yeah,
there.
of course, yeah.
But I love dogs, and
Yeah.
they were big
Yeah,
sweeties.
oh yeah. So
but
I would be like, I can't do it.
I've never met a
Okay.
Rottweiler that was mean, to be honest with you. But
Yeah. Well, we're not going to get into that debate. All right. Well, let's take a little break. We're going to come back. We have some, I think, some interesting things to talk about with you both in the last half. And we have, of course, we're going to get some secrets of social media from Nikki, who's just like going nuts on there. And then, oh man, we got employee-based action items today. Oh man, this is going to be so exciting. All right. Stick around. Have we ever had so many Aereo lovers in one room? I don't think so. I mean,
think so.
I think there's like four right now. I mean, well, I guess at PMRE there's a lot of Aereo lovers.
Yes,
there. I
that's
mean,
true.
actually at Aereo headquarters there's probably a lot, but whatever. Aereo makes all of our lives easier. Do you feel like Nikki, Marco, it kind of makes your life easier?
Oh, of course.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Oh, Marco,
Yeah.
wow, at least fake it. No, but have you now? Because we were like, you guys got to all download the Aereo Go
Yep.
app. Have you
Yes.
done that?
Yes.
Yeah. And we've moved the scheduling over to Aereo. I think it's going smoothly. It takes a little adjustment, but it's working all right for you guys.
Yeah.
yeah, I actually really like it. I like it's a little bit easier for me to go in the next day and check my work and see if there's anything I want to download and use for my social media.
Right.
So that's a lot easier than going through the mobile site because it's just a little bit more cumbersome. But
Oh, all right.
I've been liking it a lot.
Okay, well, everyone loves Aereo, so and we certainly stand by it because it's made our business more efficient and it helps us grow. So Aereo.com. If you're a new user, if you go to Aereo.com and sign up, you can use the code UPMARKET, and you will get 15 free bonus listings. I mean, that is just such an amazing deal. Okay, I'm going to spoil it because we have our spring employee picnic coming up, and we were going to surprise you, but we got these large gold medallions. They're like 3 inches wide, diameter of 3 inches, right? And and you're going to love it because I know how you guys feel about this. There's a floor plan on it.
Oh my word.
We couldn't just get a raise?
Well, I thought you'd appreciate this more. Actually.
All right.
Well,
I'll take it.
Do you actually know what you could sell a 3-inch pendant with a floor plan on for?
I had no
I mean, if you
idea.
on eBay, you one knows what those go for. I mean,
Way
and
more
it's
than a
Straight to
raise.
eBay the first day.
Oh my gosh.
And do you know though the app I would use to make a floor plan that I would put on that medallion for you? Second Floor app. Oh, come on. Because Second Floor app gives quick, accurate floor plans. You can walk through a house, and you guys know about scanning houses.
Oh, yeah.
For floor plans. You do. It takes like 5 minutes, and then instantly you have a floor plan that you can deliver to your client. So the turnaround times on the floor plans from Second Floor app are second to none. They're not even on the second floor. They are first. They are the first floor of speed of delivery. I mean, this is a labored thing, but we're getting through it. So secondfloorapp.com/ or use the code UPMARKET and you're going to get a free month of service. So you can do a ton of floor plans and deliver them to your clients and do the upsell of the quick same day or same minute delivery of your floor plans. Secondfloorapp.com. Social media sidebar. Come on, UPMARKET pod across all social media. And come on, people, rate, review, download, do all this stuff. Let's pump these stats up. We gotta get this going a little more here. We need some more 5-star reviews and some more, all that kind of stuff. And then upmarket.media across all social media if you want to see what we're up to. We all know Chelsea, of course, Feeding Beautiful. But Nikki, where can we find you?
Nikki_shoots with a Z at the end.
Right. No
On
S,
Instagram.
just a Z.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well,
And
there's
then-
the S and
yes.
H.
Yes, yeah, all right, there you go. It's not Jutes. And Marco, officially, what is your Instagram?
Official Marco.
Oh, baby. And that's with a C. No K.
Yeah, with the C.
Yeah, I have a friend, Marco, actually, with a K. Cool. Yeah. Not really, but whatever. Yeah. And I would say between the two of you, no offense, Marco, Nikki posts more than you do.
She does.
And I think Nikki. So we kind of a few months ago asked you all the employees to start producing, or not producing, right, Chelsea, or just capturing some social media content, and putting them in Slack, and then Chelsea can turn it into stuff.
Right.
And Nikki just skipped that step.
Right?
I mean, I
Nikki-
can if you want me to, but I'm tagging you in all the stuff.
No,
anyway,
I love that
so.
you're having fun with it. Yeah, great.
Yeah, and so if you do follow upmarket.media, you know that we've been reposting a lot of Nikki shoots because she's just posting reels like every day. So what's going on? What's like? I feel like you weren't doing social media, and then we asked you to, and then you just started going nuts.
Yeah, imagine that. It just
I like
did
it
what
though.
you asked.
I looked at your profile and you did a full revamp and
Yeah.
stepped into this real estate media
Yeah.
role, and you have your highlights with all the different topics. I love it.
Yeah, it was initially, you guys kind of asking us to do that, but also you had me watch a couple of presentations from PMRE last year.
Right.
So I watched Cheyenne Crawford and Kelsey Curtis, and those two really had a pretty big effect on kind of my approach. So, Kelsey talks about the 2-swipe test. So I'm
Right.
like, okay, so I'm going to try to show my face a little bit more. So it was kind of all three things combined that just kind of got me thinking more about social media content as I'm working instead of just,
Nice.
yeah.
Well, but because the thing is, we asked the same thing of Marco, and he's done jack shit.
Come on, give him a break.
Gotta build that confidence.
Well, no,
I just like being behind the camera.
no, and that's fine. And no,
Technical guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, and just giving you a hard time, and it's totally fine, because I did not expect that you would do this, right? And I think what we talk about all the time is having authentic social media.
Yeah.
And so if Marco tried to do what you were doing, it wouldn't work because he's just not. That's just not what he's about.
Yeah.
And so I guess though, because you weren't doing it before, I mean, I guess you got inspired, but do you feel this is coming naturally to you? And I do get a sense that you're really enjoying it. I know Chelsea talks about that all the time.
Yeah, I would say so. My personality kind of lends to it. But in my personal Instagram, I would try to do some things here and there. Like I've been involved in the cleaning industry before. So I was doing some cleaning tips or, I'm doing some tips for curly hair things. And
Right.
I know sign language. So I was doing some sign language videos all on my personal Instagram, but I obviously wasn't trying to do anything business-wise
Right.
with it. But so I've always my personality has lent to that kind of thing. So
Right.
now that I actually had an outlet, I was like, oh, maybe I can put all my social
Right.
media content attention on real estate photos.
You had a business account before,
Yeah.
or it was apparently you had to. I don't follow your personal one, I guess, because so this one is just for business. But since you kind of revamped it, have you seen growth in your followers and?
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, and you guys are sharing my
Right.
stuff on yours. So people who are following you started following me. I got several follow requests just after the last podcast episode that I was on.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, there's definitely been some growth, and I like that I'm kind of connecting with other people who are in the industry, who are photographers,
Right.
Because I have a lot of agents following me too now. But
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
so yeah, there's definitely been some growth for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, and so Marco, for you, your social media, and you come from like a more of a cinematography background, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I think your official Marco is kind of a personal account, but I know you are like when you do post, you're usually posting like some cool.
Moody, cinematic type stuff.
Yeah.
That's always what I've enjoyed doing. Like ever since I was younger, I've always wanted to shoot stuff that looks like a movie. You know, so that always interests me, and I have a specific style when it comes to my Instagram.
Yeah.
So,
but you're doing like shots of your community and stuff. You know, it's
exactly.
Like,
yeah. So just shooting moody stuff.
Yeah,
just what I enjoy doing.
Yeah, but you're not. You don't really have a social media strategy or anything.
No,
You're just kinda, it's kind of more for fun.
It is more for fun.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, keep having fun with it.
Yeah,
I will. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to have more with these two amazing people, and then we're going to end it with some action items. We'll be right back. Back with Nikki Basher and Marco Guerrero, two of our favorite employees. Well, we just got a couple new employees, so I mean, it was really just you guys, three of you. And wait, God, anyway.
They got to earn their place. Still.
Yeah, they will. They will. There are upcoming favorites. So, but I want to go. Marco just talked about being dark and moody in his cinematography work. So I want to get dark because there was a dark moment last summer when Marco quit. Yeah. And so, and so just a little bit of background, Marco and Nikki, you've both been with us just about 2 years ago. We kind of had a hiring cycle and we hired Marco and we're done. And then kind of Nikki came in with an application straggling. And then we met with her and decided to hire her as well. And so you've both worked here for about the same amount of time. And it's just like the 2-year anniversary, I think, just passed very recently. But then, and we kind of talked about it on the podcast, but last summer, our original employee, Dustin, who was really kind of heading up the video stuff, quit or was quitting. And we were like, Marco, we're going to really need you to step up.
And Marco's like,
actually,
how about that?
about that.
Yeah. And so Marco, you quit. What were you feeling at the time?
I was feeling kind of stressed, and it was getting like towards the end of my relationship. Because I had I broke up with my ex like a little bit after, but yeah, I just wasn't like feeling myself, and I was just super stressful on shoots, and it was getting hot too, and just sometimes that affected me as well, and I was just getting like burnt out.
Yeah,
I was getting burnt out at that time. Like that, I was like reaching my limit there.
Right. Well, so it sounds like you had like some personal stress.
Yeah,
and then
that definitely.
I don't know. I mean, it can't help but affect your work.
Yeah.
But then you and you did have feedback. I think of like, oh, I don't like working with agents and.
Yeah, just when sometimes they don't have like the home ready or just things like that. That also like would affect me and.
Yeah.
Their overall attitude.
Or like, just I was getting burnt out. Like, honestly, like I was just like, yeah, man, I think I got to move on. And I mean, it's been a fun run, but I got to move on to something else.
Yeah. Well, and that was, and we, as much as we hated to lose you, I mean, we were happy that, when you have clarity on something, that's great. I mean, because we want people to be happy when they're working for us and at least, enjoy they don't have to enjoy the work, but
Yeah. It was just like the same thing over and over again. And I honestly wasn't happy like at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you quit and then.
And we were all like, what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, but then here's the thing though. And obviously you're back. So there's a happy ending to the story, I think, unless you're going to quit at the end of this podcast. The action item is
I got to talk to you after this podcast.
But what that did is because you, at that time, Nikki didn't know how to shoot video and Mark didn't know how to shoot video. And you were kind of our video guy. And so we were stressing like, how are we going to do video? We need Marco to do all this video. And he's like, oh, I quit. So now all of a sudden we have 0 people who can do video because, you know, I theoretically, I mean, I originated video for the company, but my skills are rusty and it's well known that I don't want to do it. So we had to come up with a solution. And so we had Dustin and Marco train Nikki, and because they were both, it was, you know, amicable partings with both Dustin and Marco. So they were like, yeah, well, you know, we're paying them. They'll train you guys. So Mark and Nikki got trained up. And then they started doing video. And so that was great. Now that we had, and then all of a sudden we went from 0 people to 2 people who could do video. And, you know, that was a real benefit. And then Marco, a few months later,
Came crawling back.
You heard it here.
Yeah.
From the horse's mouth.
Well, you missed us so much.
Yeah.
Well, so what happened? So you were, so that was in, and I remember I just
June,
got,
I think it was June.
you quit, and then I had just gotten back from PMRE and you called me.
Yeah,
or
like
texted-
October,
Or November.
November, yeah.
Yeah, it was like we got back and it was a little surprise waiting for us.
Yeah.
So what happened in those, you know, kind of 5 months, and then
I was just doing side jobs here and there, and it was cool in the beginning, you know, kind of being away from, you know, this whole real estate stuff, and then I got to a point where I just needed like a little extra money, so I ended up getting a pizza delivering job just to kind of pay the bills, and then once I was there, I'm just like, you know, our marketing media wasn't too bad. Wait a second. Yeah. And this was time had passed after like my breakup too, and I just felt a lot better, just more energy. You know, and then I was like, hey, I'm just gonna reach out to Reed. Maybe I could get a few shoots per week. You know, that would help. Yeah. And then
right, because that's how you pitch it. You're like,
exactly,
you know, I do have some availability. I'm working, but but you were working evenings, and so it was like, I could do some shoots in the day, and
so then I just like reflected back on like working with you guys, and it was never an issue with you guys. It was just the work
itself.
Yeah, and then
don't lie, it's the shoes.
It's the red shoes. You're right. Yeah, I just missed those red shoes.
Come on, be honest. It's the shoes.
Yeah. So then time passed, and I just felt better, and I was like, I mean, I'm in a much better place now. And I mean, I'll do the work. It's just a job, and it pays well. Yeah. You know, and that's always a good plus. And I messaged you, and here we are.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting because when you had said, and I think I kind of mentioned it on the podcast, and because you were like, oh yeah, I'm delivering pizzas. Yeah. And I was like, oh, so he left us to deliver pizzas.
Yeah.
You know, which, and I'm not, no shade on pizza delivery people, right? It's a fine job, but you know, cause we're like, well, he's a creative person and he has these skills and he can utilize his skills. Here he's just driving, and you're like, oh wow, okay, that's better. And then of course now it turns out maybe it wasn't, but but I guess if you get in a mode of like, well, I could do this, which really doesn't have any of my interest in it at all, or I could do this other thing which kind of is tangential. I mean, you know, intersects a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, so has your attitude changed towards the shoots? Because I feel like you were saying, oh, I'm burnt out. It's the same thing over and over again. But now how are you looking at it so that, because now you've been back for 6 months and it seems like you're still okay.
Yeah. I'm okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm just more like grateful to be here, and just the different mentality now, going through these shoots, and just have like a better mentality overall. And it's fun. Okay. You know, it's a job, but I enjoy it. Like,
okay, good.
I'm more grateful now for the opportunity.
Sometimes you just have to do something else, and it gives you a different perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
that's
maybe
exactly what happened.
maybe it could have been worse.
Yeah. Well, exactly. and it does feel like that if you do want to do photo and video or whatever. I mean, it's not like there's a ton of, actual like jobs out there, right? You could freelance and do it, but that's also hard.
It's a hustle.
Yeah, it's a hustle. And so it doesn't feel like there's a ton of jobs. So, it's, I don't know. I think it's well documented on this podcast what the drawbacks are to this industry and what these the job, but it is still, you get to do photos and you get to do video.
And I love the flexibility too that this job brings too. Like if I need to get a day off, I'm just, hey, I can't work today or that day.
Right.
And I'm sure probably what helped after you've been back is you're not the sole person doing video. So that probably took a lot of stress and weight off of you this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. Well, and that flexibility is a double-edged sword too, right? Of course, because it's always like, I wanted to work today, but there's no shoots, anyway.
Does that happen ever? I feel like that's not happened recently.
Well,
Nick, you had 0 shoots this week. What are you talking about?
That's funny. I was really busy this week.
It's springtime, so we are a little busier.
Start ramping up.
But we're recording this on a Friday, and like today, there's not that many shoots, and so it's just even in springtime, you can have days that there are.
I have 3 shoots today.
Well, good job. Well, I know. Well, you do, but
Talk about.
how many do you have today, Marco?
2.
2, yeah.
2.
But there could be 3 or 4, and Mark is not shooting. I'm not shooting, so it's like it's really okay. 5 shoots. That's not that many at this point. For our staffing.
It's a little
levels.
rainy outside now.
It wasn't slated to be though. But anyway.
Marco, I have a question for Marco.
Yeah.
So now,
so are you co-hosting now?
no, I
Nikki?
just have a question.
Watch out, Reed.
Because this was something I thought when you decided to leave. So now do you feel like if you were ever in kind of that headspace again, would you feel comfortable, talking about it and letting somebody know like, hey, I'm kind of feeling a certain way. I'm kind of reverting back to, I'm struggling with whatever in my personal life, or I'm stressed at work. Do you feel comfortable bringing it up and talking about it instead of just like, hey, I gotta go?
Yeah. No, I would definitely talk about it, or because I remember when I was talking to Mark, when I laid the news on him, he was like, "Is there anything we could change? Like, give you less hours, or if you don't want to do video, we can change that." And I'm just like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I never want to do real estate ever again. And here we are.
Yeah.
But I would definitely talk about it and try to change something up if I was in that state of mind.
Because I remember you
Sure.
kind of telling me about it before you left. And in the back of my mind, I was like, why don't you just tell somebody how you're feeling?
Yeah.
I didn't want to put any undue pressure on you, but
I
I know
gotcha.
that's something I've always appreciated about this job is if I'm having issues, I'll let Chelsea know, or I'll let Mark know.
Yeah.
I'll probably
you
won't
can always
bother
tell
Reed.
us.
Reed's always like, let Chelsea know, or let Mark know. I'm drinking a martini
I'm just
here.
kidding, but I've always felt comfortable. Telling him like, hey, this has been stressful, and I know Mark's been gone this week, but like this week was kind of stressful because I was working every evening this week
I know.
until
Yeah, me
9,
too.
10
Me
p.m.
too.
Yeah, no, and
The Twilight
And
Shoot.
my husband is like, am I ever going to see you again? I'm like, it's just a busy week.
Everyone wants Twilights this week.
Yeah.
Well, no, and as much as we've said, we want two Twilights a week, that's the maximum, and then here you go.
Yeah.
And then it's just,
and I guess sometimes that's just not the case.
yeah, it's just, but if it's week after week after week, then it would just have to be, no, sorry, we're just
Right.
not available. And
But so I just, it's always good to kind of tell people how you're
Right.
feeling, and so
Well,
they can help.
And Nikki, on that same line, you came to us with some problem or a big problem, very recently. Are you okay
Yes,
talking
I
about
did.
that?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been noticing, and let me preface this with, I'm not a very physically fit person. My workout routine has greatly suffered in the last couple of years. So I'm not surprised at all that this has happened to me, but I've been dealing with some pretty consistent pain in my right shoulder. And it's been continuous for probably the last month and a half. And I had noticed a while back that if I had a particularly long day of shoots, that I'd get a lot of tension and tightness in my right shoulder, and it would just be screaming at me, and I would shut it up by taking some ibuprofen, and then I'd go to bed, and the next day it would be fine. And that's how I chose to deal with that. And then just one day it was not fine, and it just continued to hurt every day since then. So yeah, I did bring it up to you guys, and I was trying to figure out, what do I need to do to deal with this? I've been to a chiropractor. I've been to a massage therapist. I'm seeing my doctor next month.
Right.
I'm hoping it's not going to still be hurting by then, but of course I'm concerned that there might be an injury there. So
Well, right. And it certainly, has coincided with you using a gimbal.
Yes.
Right. And then the other factor, if you're not watching on our YouTube channel, which is Upmarket Pod, Nikki, you're not a large person.
No.
Yeah. And so, I think we're not using giant cameras. We're using mirrorless. They're not that heavy, but it ends up, it's like, and I remember that was the big concern when we started doing videos. Like, I don't know if I'm strong enough to do this.
Yeah. When we were training and I was using Marco's gimbal, I was like, there's no way. In the back of my mind, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. And then you guys got me the mini and I was like, okay, well, maybe this will be better. But the camera is still pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And you're kind of holding your arms away from your body.
Yeah.
And I have no upper body strength.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been wearing on me a lot.
Well, yeah. And then all of a sudden is like, Mark and I look at each other like, oh crap. I mean, not only is it like, hey, we want you to be healthy, but then you're like, oh, is the job we have given Nikki like ruining her body?
Right. No.
Well, no, but you have to think about that, and that's part of like keeping your employees safe is making sure that what you're asking them to do, they can actually physically accomplish,
right?
And that you're not. And I mean, obviously, you work in a factory. I mean, you're going to get repetitive stress on certain things, and that just is part of the job. And in a way, it is part of this, right? You have to. It's just there's certain things you're going to be doing. And you were just talking about how when you were just having to tighten the tripod and when you would move and then, because you think, oh, it's the gimbal, but then it's every time you move the camera, every time, the Matterport's
kind of heavy.
Yeah.
The older ones.
Yeah, exactly. And so it, then that really made Mark and I start thinking about, well, what can we do about this? And one of the things we can do is as we talked about, we're going to move into the iPhones for video. Yes. So that way it's going to be a lot lighter, and we will do kind of a gimbal on we were buying gimbals, but I think you can just use the phone probably sometimes without a gimbal. But so that's one of the things we can do. And then maybe there's a more ergonomic tripod that we can get you. And this is a pretty new development. So we haven't really figured out what the solutions are. And Mark's been gallivanting. So it's like, we can't, I want to make sure that, and he's more the operations guy and he knows the gear way better than I do. So I kind of defer to him on that. But
have you guys seen the self-leveling
I've seen the
tripods?
Yeah.
I'm like, that looks nice.
Yeah, we
just
should
throwing
order
that out there.
We should order like 4 of those, right?
Yeah.
It's on the business credit card.
Just throwing it out there.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, that would be great. But I also think the day where we're just going to walk around with the iPhone and just shoot everything is not that far off. So, but I and I guess in a way, I don't really know, we don't have a solution for this yet, but we're both really appreciative of the fact that you brought that up to us.
Yeah.
Because, we want to know that. And we have to know it because obviously if you're in too much pain, you're not going to be able to do the job. Right. So,
yeah.
That would make me sad.
I know when I heard you guys talking about getting the switching over to the iPhone, I was like, yes, I'm on board. I'm 100% on board for that.
Right. Well, and the thing about switching to the iPhone is going to take action. And that means, though, I think it's going to be time for action items. And I think we're going to have the quad action items today, right, Chelsea?
Man. Maybe.
I don't know. Well, Chelsea, that's funny. Chelsea is kind of part of she's just this, the producer, but she's on. And so does she have to have an action item? Does she not? Mm-hmm. Usually she says, no, I don't have one. I don't have one. And then she is, oh, no, I got one.
And it ends up being amazing.
Right. Well, I'll go ahead and go first. Why not? So here's my action item, and it's one I started on last night, and I'm going to finish this afternoon, as I think I figured out the one. And Margo, this is something we've talked about before, but I'm going to buy FAA certified drone safety vests for everybody. So that way you have this reflective safety vest that says FAA certified drone pilot on it, so that you can wear it.
Do not disturb, it says on the back.
So you looked it up.
Yeah, I have one.
Oh, you have one?
You have one?
Stop.
Should be wearing that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like, wait.
So
you'll look a lot less shady wearing something like that.
Well, and that's the thing. So I think and not that we're going to require everyone to wear it, but to have it in moments where, you're in a busier neighborhood or maybe you're in a quieter neighborhood. And I think if you have something like that on, it just is like, oh, this person is here for a work reason. And obviously it's not, it's just something you buy on that company's website that sells everything. And and so what does it actually mean? But it looks official, right? It's just like the mall cop. It's like, what are, so.
People will be far less likely to ask questions
Yeah.
if you
What
look
are you
official.
doing?
Exactly. And so because it does go back to as much as, oh yeah, don't bother me, but it actually is, I think, a safety thing.
Yeah.
That it does make sure that you do seem official and you're not shady. I mean, obviously you could be undercover, case in a joint, but
Looking for weed.
yeah.
Spying on
like
people's
that.
daughters.
Yeah. So that's my action item. Get anyone who's a drone pilot in your company, get them one of those vests.
Even a vest too, like if you're doing twilights, you could
Right.
put it on, and if you're in the middle of the street, people could see you easily.
Yeah, that's a really good
Looky
idea.
there.
Yeah.
There you go. So great.
Great.
Excellent. Today's action items are sponsored by Pixel CRM. Pixel CRM is the only CRM designed by a real estate photographer for real estate photographers. So go to pixelcrm.com to grow your business, make it more efficient. We've been using it. We've been loving it. And it's pixelcrm.com/upmarket, and you are going to get a risk-free free month of service.
All right, I'll go next.
Oh, you
I'll
will?
go next.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
Volunteer.
Mark's going to go next.
My action item is to have redundancy. Always have backups of everything. There's been times where I'm on a shoot, and then Chelsea will message me, and she's like, "Oh, can you do aerials for this shoot, or can you do aerial video really quick?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I can do it because I have extra batteries." So.
Right.
You can never have extra too many batteries.
Right.
It's always going to have
I agree
extra,
with
and
that.
just in case something comes up,
Right.
a battery goes bad or something.
And memory cards.
Memory
Yeah.
cards too.
SD
Yeah,
cards.
everything.
And those batteries should be charged.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think I have like 6 in my bag.
Yeah, no, me too.
6 what?
Batteries.
Oh, for the drone?
For
For the
the
camera. Oh,
camera.
yeah.
Yeah.
We bought them for you, right? You didn't
Yeah.
buy extra batteries. Okay, thank God.
I asked for more batteries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're fine. We'll
And
always buy
more
batteries.
SD cards.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
And I have
For
3
sure.
drone batteries.
Yeah. All right. Good. All right. Excellent, Marco. All right. Chelsea?
I thought of one.
Okay, do
It's
it.
Not,
What a
it's kind of
surprise.
one,
Let's-
but
We'll end
it
with
kind
Nikki here.
well, because I was thinking about what Mark was talking about last week and what we talked about today with Nikki, and so I know we touched on doing a physical check-in with yourself and keeping your body healthy.
Oh, yeah.
But with everything we also discussed with Marco today is also just sit down and do a mental check-in with yourself or with your team and just speak up. If there's something, even a little thing that's been bothering you, just communicate so everyone is aware. And yes, maybe someone can, give you a different insight on that so you feel better about the situation. If there's one thing I learned, if you listened to the last
Right.
podcast with me, is to not hold those things in and let it go on for too long, because then, the resentment or the mental health, it only weighs on you more. So speak up now if there's anything that you need to voice. Don't hold it in.
All right.
I agree with that.
All right.
I agree with that 100%.
Okay, Nikki Shoots with a Z.
For a second, I thought you were going to steal mine.
Oh, sorry. That would have been fun.
I am kind of piggybacking off of Mark's action item from a couple episodes ago about taking care of your body. Obviously, this is something that has affected me. And my biggest issue was I didn't listen to what my body was telling me. So it's like, take care of your body and don't wait until you're in pain to do something about it. If you don't already have an exercise and stretching routine, then you need to get one. You need to be doing it. Even if it's just light exercises, but daily, or stretching daily, or both really would be best. I started doing pretty daily stretching for myself. And I'm also noticing other areas of my body that are struggling that I didn't even think about, so kind of taking that time to get a routine down so you can keep track of what your body is feeling, and just not, when your body starts telling you something, you got to listen to it. You got to do something. I see a chiropractor pretty regularly to try to keep myself in line. So yeah, just taking care of your body and not waiting until you're in pain to do it. Do it now.
All right. Wise words from little old Nikki. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for all the work that you all do for us and being part of a team. And it's such a pleasure to to work with you both every day. Well, you too, Chelsea, but
No, I know. It's nice to see you guys in person and
Yeah.
be able to thank you for everything. So,
Yeah,
you're
as
out there hustling, running around.
Yeah, and you
a
know,
lot.
you're always
Thank you
up
for dealing
stuff.
with the realtors too.
Yeah. Thank you, Chelsea.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
try.
that's the big thing. So thank you and thanks for coming in. I think that was a fun conversation. I'm glad we did this. And big thanks to our listeners.
Yes.
Oh man, really appreciate each and every one of you. All right, and guess what? We're back next Tuesday with another episode. And then the Tuesday after that, and the Tuesday after that, and the Tuesday after
You're
that,
on
and the Tuesday
fire.
after that. Woo! Baby. All right. All right. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Upmarket is a production of Upmarket Studios. This episode was produced by Chelsea Froelich and edited by Bethany Diedrich. Thank you so much for listening, and we really hope you listen to the next one too. In the meantime, our wish for you is to not have to shoot any Friday night Twilight shoots. Thank you for everything.